Hi folks, welcome back to Three Barrow Farm. My name is Amy and I live in central Victoria, Australia, here with my family of 5. And I'm just out here in one of my vegetable patches where I've got this lush thyme growing. We generally have all our herbs out in the front garden, but the thyme wasn't doing too well out there, and because I'm here almost, every second day checking on everything and tending to these patches I have out the back here, I planted the thyme here and it's doing really, really well. I think this is its 3rd year in this patch and it has grown quite large. The bees are currently enjoying the flowers that are coming out, which is lovely, but I need something to put in the dehydrator because I've finished with what's in the dehydrator currently, which is calendula flowers and some mint. So the thyme is looking absolutely beautiful, and this is the ideal time to start harvesting and drying thyme. Now I'm trying not to disturb the bees too much, and I'm just chopping off the top parts. I'm taking off more of the leaves than I am the flowers, but the flowers are fine to harvest also. I'm just wanting to leave some of the flowers for the bees because they are enjoying it. Now, thyme is something I use a lot in the kitchen. I especially love putting thyme on roast potatoes with a bit of salt and pepper. They are absolutely delicious. I thoroughly enjoy cooking them that way, and so does my family. So I recommend trying out thyme on your roasted potatoes. I also love doing a thyme tincture. Now, thyme is fantastic for sore throats, and I make a spray out of the tincture that we use to spray into our mouths when we've got a sore throat. So it's such a valuable plant to have in the garden and to use for colds and sore throats, and for steams as well. It's great as a steamer to also help with congestion and to help with sore throats in that way as well. But I find the tincture is just so very beneficial and we love it. So I like to dry as much as I can, and we're almost out of our dried thyme. So we just had enough this year to see us through the winter. And now that it's come out fresh, when I use it now, I will use it fresh, and I will also dry this lot and lots more to come, so we have plenty for the off season. So that's probably enough for today. I will see how it goes, how long it takes to dry, but from previous years I reckon it takes 1 or 2 days. I don't have our dehydrators on at night time because we are off grid here, so we're on solar. So I turn the dehydrators off at night. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tincture with this fresh thyme because we're almost run out of our tincture and I find it so valuable to have on hand. So I'm going to make a tincture, and then with just a small amount of this, and then I'm going to dehydrate the rest. So I've got 2 dehydrators, but I'm just going to have the one going at the moment, I think, unless I decide that I need to harvest something else in my garden. And because I was working all week last week, I have fallen behind in my gardening and harvesting. There is so much to do out here, but luckily I have the whole week off from work, so I can be out here doing all the things that I want to do. And there are so many seedlings I have that need to be planted out. So I'm excited to get out here each day, harvest and dehydrate, plant some seedlings, water the garden, and just be out here enjoying this beautiful weather that we're having here. Now, before I go inside, I wanted to show you this miraculous patch that I have going here that has come back after that hailstorm we had quite a while ago. And look, the poppies are now flowering, and I'm so happy to have this little patch of poppies here. And there are so many to come. Look at all these heads. So excited. I'm so very grateful to have them coming up in the garden. Here's a big weed. I really, really need to get out here and do some weeding. But look at these. They're all gonna pop out soon. Here's one that'll probably pop out tomorrow. And another one over here. There's a white one hiding. We've had a few here. As you can see, there's some petals from one that's just finished, but I'm so pleased to have this little patch of poppies that made it through. They pretty much got shredded all the way down to the ground, so it's just amazing how they have managed to fight back after being completely shredded. So I'm very happy about that. And I've got some leeks in here that are desperately needing to be harvested. We'll need to bring out the shovel and get those out. So this is vegetable patch number 2, and this netting is in desperate need of being lifted because all the plants underneath, the ones that are going to seed or the ones that are down here that are about to flower, they are pushing the net up and it really needs to come off. So I'm going to get out here and I'm going to be harvesting the kale and more of the coriander in the next couple of days, and or probably tomorrow morning I'm going to do a big harvest, and I'm going to take this net off and just cross my fingers and pray that the cockatoos don't come and destroy the garden. But look, it's a good 2 feet over there off the hoop. It's probably about a foot off the hoop here. So yeah, it's really in need of coming off. I don't really need the netting on here. It was just there to basically keep the cockatoos away. I've got a ladybird stuck in the net there. I just got her out. But yeah, look at all of this beautiful kale. It's going to seed, but it is still edible. It's still able to be used, and I want to dry a whole heap of it as well. So I probably will be getting my second dehydrator down and popping this kale in it to make a green powder, which we put in soups and eggs, anything that we want a little bit more greens in over winter. So I'm definitely going to be doing that, and I'm going to be making a pesto with most of this coriander as well. So I will be using this netting in other rows that I will be planting out in. Oh, and the purple cornflowers have come out. I have to show you those. Look at all of these calendula flowers. I should do another harvest of these as well and put them in the dehydrator. But also I've got these cornflowers, and the cornflowers can be added in teas as well. So you can dry them as well and use them in teas, but I also love using them in salads. So I might just collect a few to put in my salad tonight. And look at this. I'm not sure whether this cabbage is gonna put a big head on, because this one here kind of looks like it's getting taller and going to seed. So I might cut this off. Some of them I've harvested heads from, but because it's getting warmer, I reckon these ones might go to seed. But this one here, this one's looking okay. And I need to come out and harvest More of these broccolinis. Oh, there's one that's gone a bit too far. You can still eat this though. I can still, oh no, that's probably a little bit too woody. Yeah, it's a bit past it. So if you can't snap it off, then it's no good really. But here's one here, the first one on that one. So the first one always comes up the middle really nicely, and then once you take this off, it shoots up a whole lot more around the outside. I need another basket. Hang on. I think I brought out 2 bowls. So I'll put this in here for my dinner tonight. But what I wanted to show you is the beautiful purple cornflowers. So I had blue and pink ones, and they have joined together and made a beautiful purple flower. And all of these plants have just come up by themselves. Let's harvest a few more of these and I will have them in dinner tonight. So these are the 2 dehydrators that I have. This one was, I think, from Aldi, and it was my parents' one, and they weren't using it as much and offered it for us to use. So it does quite well, but it does have quite large holes in it. And this one here is the Fowler Vacola dehydrator. I really love this dehydrator. I also got this one second hand, and you can buy more of these. So I've purchased 2 more of these. You can tell because they're a lighter colour than the older ones. The older ones are sort of gone creamy, whereas these are more white. And so here's the mint that I've had in here. So I've got all this mint in here and some calendula flowers down the bottom. So these are ready to take out now. So these have been in here for a few days now, probably 3 days. And I missed one day in between turning it on, which is not ideal, but it still dries in here. And often at night time, I will sort of set it aside a bit like this, ladder it, because we're off grid and we don't have as much power to use at night time. I don't want to run it and run down our batteries. So yeah, I just sort of lie them to the side so air can still move through and there's no sort of moisture staying in here, because it is quite airtight other than the hole at the top. So I have this jar here full of calendula flowers that I've dried over the last month, and I've got this bowl here. I'm just going to pop the mint into the bowl just because I'm going to crunch this up a lot more, and make sure you've got clean hands, clean dry hands. You don't want to be introducing any dirt or bugs to what you've just dried. So you can hear it's all crunchy. So if you were doing something that was quite wet or like fruit or something on these dehydrators, you'd want to give them a wash or a wipe down. I just sort of give these ones a bit of a tap because there is a bit of dust from the dry leaves, but I don't really need to wipe them down because this is not leaving any residue. So you might ask why I'm dehydrating mint, common mint. I haven't really looked into what I can do with the mint, but I was planning for it to just be flavours for drinks and such, so I can powder it down and use it in drinks or smoothies, things where I want there to be sort of a cooling effect. But yeah, there's just so much of it that I don't want to waste it, so I'm dehydrating it, and you can smell it still. It smells delicious. It's really kept that beautiful smell scent in the dried leaves. So it's worked really well. And I'm just going to pop the small amount of calendula flowers I have in here. And with this jar, I'm probably going to take some of the flowers out of the jar but I'm going to top up the jar with oil, and I make calendula balms. And calendula is so good for the skin. It helps in lots of ways. It helps with dry skin, sunburn, lots of things. It just really, I'm always amazed with how quickly our skin heals when we use this calendula balm. And if you leave it in the oil for long enough, it really goes quite a bright orange. I should show you one of my calendula balms. In fact, I will show you. So sometimes I take the petals off, but I don't know, I'm just being maybe a bit lazy and just putting the whole entire flower in. Either way, it'll work really well. And I've got a few of the petals have fallen onto the bench. I'm not going to use those because I use these flowers to make balms for other people. I don't want to use anything that has fallen below the racks as well, because there's a lot of dust and stuff that's occurred down at the bottom here, and I want to just tap this out and get rid of all of the dirt or anything that might be present there. Give it a wipe down, and then I can start loading up the racks again. So here are the leaves, and I just thought I'd show you some of the balms that I've made with the calendula oil. So this is a lip balm, and I didn't leave the oil in as long with this lip balm. So if you leave it in longer, they recommend leaving oil or tinctures for at least 6 weeks. I think I left it for a few months to get this orange. Now, is that coming out? It's probably not coming out as orange as it is, but it was quite orange when I harvested the oil that came from these. So I'm hoping to get another really beautiful orange batch from these flowers. Okay, so before I get on to loading my dehydrator with this thyme, I'm going to make my tincture. Now I have these jars that are different from any other jars. I get these ones from Kmart. So these jars are for my tinctures and for my oils as well, although I have got some larger ones like this, and they are only used for this. So at least I know that it's not going to have the smell of like a chutney or something else that I've preserved. So because I'm using fresh thyme and I'm not using dried thyme, I'm going to use 100 proof alcohol. So normally I would dry the herbs if I'm using an alcohol that's less than 100 proof. And I've got this alcohol here. I'm almost at the bottom of this organic vodka. It's 100 proof, which means there's less water in it. Because I'm adding wet, or it's not wet, but it's fresh herbs, there is more of a water content in these herbs. So I just want to be safe and use a vodka that has less water in it, so then there's less water in this tincture. Okay, I'm just going to make a small batch of this fresh thyme because I've only got a small amount of alcohol left as well, so I want to leave it for other herbs as well. I'm just going to fill it up enough for the plant to be completely covered by the alcohol. And every day for the next week, I think for the next week maybe, or 2 weeks, I'm going to just give it a bit of a shake. Another thing I do is pop a bit of baking powder over the lid, or in between the lid and the jar, just so that this lid doesn't rust from the alcohol. And I'm also going to write on the jar with this pen. So this is a uni chalk pen, and it will rub off with some water or with some, there goes the lid, that always happens. So if I write on that there. Can you see that little line that I've written on? It'll just wipe straight off. So I find this really beneficial, so then I can just pop another, wipe it off and pop another label on. So I'm going to put what herb I've popped in here, and I'm also going to put the date. So thyme, and it's the 21st of the 10th, 2024. And then I'm going to keep that with the rest of my tinctures and medicines in the cupboard. So you want to keep it in a dark place, a dark, dry place, cool place. And I'm just going to go in there every day and give it a little stir for the next week or so, and then leave it to sit for another 5 weeks or so after that. And once you've left it to sit, it should look something like this. This is my thyme tincture that I made and drained on the 3rd, so in March, and we've been taking from this. Ideally, you will have these tinctures in amber glass jars or droppers. I ran out, so I've just had these in a very dark cupboard, like in my tincture box. So it's kept in a dark space, but ideally you'd use amber so that it doesn't lose its quality. But we just use this dropper to drop it into a drink or to put it under our tongue. And then I also use this and water it down to spray into our throats when we have a sore throat. So we also have a sore throat spray that we use from Thyme. And it goes really, really dark. So eventually this will darken to about the same darkness as this one. I made this one with dry thyme though, so it'll be interesting to see if this one turns out to be darker. And I might come in here and just chop up these leaves a bit more now, and they'll sit underneath the alcohol a bit better when I've chopped them up a bit more. So it just rained a few days ago, and this thyme is quite clean. I haven't found any bugs on it, and also I've just been harvesting from the tops of the plant, so there's no dirt in it or anything like that. It's been cleaned by the rain. We had quite a good amount of rainfall at the end of last week, and I'm just going to layer it as thinly as possible. I think I'm going to be able to go out and harvest a bit more of this to fill this dehydrator completely. And you want to dehydrate thyme, obviously, on the stalk, because the leaves are so small and the flowers are so small, they're just going to fall right through the gaps. So I will take off all of the leaves and flowers off the stalks once it has been dried. So I'm just trying to leave some gaps so that the air comes through all the layers of the dehydrator. And of course, the more layers on this dehydrator you do, I find the longer you have to put the dehydrator on. But also I move the trays around. So I might put the ones on the bottom at the top and rotate them. And we're going to have heaps of room for more thyme. So I'm going to go outside and harvest some more. Thank you so much for watching today and joining me in the garden to talk about what I do with thyme, and I look forward to bringing you more videos this week because I have time off, and I'm going to be doing a lot out here in the garden. And hop down in the comments and let me know what you do with thyme. I'd love to hear. I'd love to get some more recipes or things under my belt to try with thyme, because I do have an abundance of thyme at the moment. And I think I'm going to go off and harvest some of my kale to put in the other dehydrator, because I forgot how much room there is in the dehydrators and how much I can actually fit in them. So I will get some kale drying as well and be able to preserve all this goodness that's growing in my garden right now. I hope you get to be out in this beautiful weather that we are having and enjoy your garden this week. I shall see you very soon. Bye for now.